Welcome to today's episode of the Digital Peloton News here in Long Beach, California. Today's episode number 3 on September 10th, 2018. In today's episode, we look at the Zwift Android beta update. Swiftcast podcast reveals details of the pending New York course. IQ2 released data. Gee, that was quick. Sufferfest rebrands their studio offering. Bianchi collaborate with Starbucks because bikes and coffee make sense. And Raul Lucia from Lucia Technic looks at the build quality of a Cannondale Super 6 Evo 2017 by cutting one in half. Kicking things off with the Zwift Android update here. If you're lucky enough to be part of the Zwift Android beta group, if you got in early, here are the updates that came out just last week for the beta testers. First up, they've added screenshots while riding and customizing. Cool. Fixed download bug for group workouts and audio. Excellent, more standard usability features there. A very important one here with improved Bluetooth scanning and connection logic. I've done a few rides on the Zwift Android release and just taking a screenshot will drop all Bluetooth connections, so they're working a lot on that, which is a good thing. The Bluetooth connectivity under Android is going to be an interesting one for them to solve properly across the board because there's so many different handsets out there, different compatibility levels. It should be a standard, it's kind of not. So if you're using Zwift on Android regularly, let me know below, let me know your experience of that, and yeah, go and update before your next ride. Flipping over here to the Swiftcast, which I'm a panelist member on, we're up to episode number 54 already, so things are ticking along quite nicely there with myself, Simon Schofield, and Nathan Guerra. This episode we do cover, well, everything about the Zwifting experience, but we do have a chat about the pending New York course release on Zwift. Jump over to iTunes and subscribe. I'll put links below to all these articles and the Swiftcast if you want to subscribe to that and have a listen to what we've got to say. Good chats, good interviews there with others as well in the Zwift community, and one to be across. Next up, IQ2, who I mentioned in the last episode of the Digital Peloton, have already released data. They're onto it. That was either good timing or they responded pretty damn quick. So skipping down here to their update over on Kickstarter, posted just today, they've listed their data they were out collecting with the DC Ramco analysis tool. So again, the industry standard for analysis tools, DC Ramco analysis tool. They've shown some data here which looks pretty promising. And scrolling down here, they do make mention to my video last week, so they do watch the Digital Peloton. Thanks guys, thanks for supporting the channel and linking everyone over to it. I listed there, or I stated, that if the IQ2 power meter does match the P1 power pedals, it's going to be happy days. Well, they're pretty confident it does. Let's have a look at the data file here. Now this is a start-stop ride as well. I like steady state and I like big globs of steady state data. That really tells us the real story. Start and stops can change things with head units recording and auto pause, it can be a little different. However, looking at the data here closely, average power from the power tap 149 over 20 minutes, stages 157, might be a bit wonky, but that's standard. Okay, cool, stages, we'll put you aside for a sec. But the IQ2 is only 2 watts out. Not bad, guys, not bad at all. Again, this is their data. So when we see some independent data collected, there are people saying, look, get this in the hands of DC Ramco, get this in the hands of GPLama. I'm all for that. Stay tuned. But kudos to those guys, I stuck it to them, they stuck it back. Nice one. You can also keep a track of what those guys are up to over on Facebook by hitting like and following along, so they do post up all their updates for that. So lots of hype still, I'm still skeptical. Let's see how they go. On to the Sufferfest. EnduranceBusiness.com reports the Sufferfest have rebranded their studio offering. Sufferfest, I've got a long history with those guys. I've done the Knighthood, which is 10 hours or 10 videos back to back, many hours. That was a long day in the saddle. A lot of training platforms are all individually based, so single user, at home, away you go. That's where Sufferfest started, by downloading videos. They moved into the streaming side of things with the subscription. Now they're already in 160 spin studios, which is pretty cool. Stage is already there with their bikes. It's not the holy grail, but it is a big, big market. So Sufferfest rebranding away from the suffering, the hardcore, the you must kill yourself to be fit, probably soften things a little bit. Okay, the analogy I'll use is they've turned the dial back a little bit on the spin studio hardness. They've made it SUF cycling, which I think is a good idea because not everybody wants to go to a spin studio and suffer and throw their guts up. Let's be honest. A lot of the time, the spin studio demographic want to go there and enjoy being fit, and enjoy working out with others. So interesting things there from Sufferfest, and I do know Wahoo have a very small presence in this as well with Kicker Studio. We haven't seen this outside the US yet. Interesting times. Next up, Bianchi, the Celeste green / blue / teal / horrible, I'm not a big fan of this, the Bianchi color at all, have paired up with Starbucks. Yes, the coffee Starbucks. This headline did grab me over here on Cycling Industry News because they've released a limited edition Bianchi bike in collaboration with Starbucks, only available in Italy itself at a coffee roaster, But if we have a quick look here at the bike, that's looking pretty nice. There's none of that horrible green on the bike. Looks like a nice gravel grinder, maybe even a coffee grinder. Yeah, I went there. Interesting stuff over there with the collaboration there between two very different brands, but coffee, bikes, hand in hand. And last of all today, to put the spotlight on another content creator, Raul Lucia over at Lucia Technic /carbonbikerepair.com. Raul himself knows absolutely everything about carbon fiber and composites in the industry. He's the #1 independent go-to, well, for me and a number of other people as well. So Raul posts up every now and then a video review of a bike that he's cut in half, a bike that has been damaged beyond repair. And very, very interesting stuff. Raul has covered a lot of older bikes, but just last week he covered a brand new, well, effectively brand new, Cannondale Super 6 Evo 2017. Raul's video that's playing here, I'll link below to that because it is super interesting to see what's behind the cut and polish of the bikes that we ride. It's kind of scary what's on the inside, but Raul gives us his A to Z rundown of that bike. Super interesting stuff. So as the sun sets here in Long Beach, we'll leave it there for today. Coming up next week is Interbike, which is like Eurobike, but a lot more America. So I'm looking forward to that. Lots of meetings lined up, lots of products as well coming out that just didn't quite make the cut at Eurobike. So stay tuned for that. If you're not a subscriber, hit subscribe below. Lots of news coming on that front. And finally, a big thanks to everybody who sent through comments or emails of things that I should be across for the Digital Peloton news to present here on the channel. Thanks for watching. We'll be back with more soon.